Hello, VOD watchers who have been waiting for me to read these secret reports. Sadly, I don't have the patience to grind out the stats I need to complete Rhyme's dive, so I can't complete the social network, which means I don't have access to Secret Report 10 or 24. But I have got I've got screen caps of them that I will throw up when it is time to read them. So if you want to just read along, you can do. Fair warning, they will be very bright because I've pulled them off of the wiki. I am that lazy. 3 years have passed since the game that caught the attention of the higher plane. Observation is still ongoing, but from the UG, it looks as if Shibuya is on the brink of catastrophe once more. I am forbidden from intervening in the game this time, so I will have to settle for recording the changing state of both the RG and the UG here in this report. The Executor first intruded on Shibuya 3 years ago, originally from Shinjuku. This angel started a clandestine game with Shibuya's composer, which ultimately led to Shinjuku's destruction. He should have been reprimanded as soon as he arrived in Shibuya, but the elites are turning a blind eye for some reason, possibly because most higher plane denizens still oppose Shibuya's impurification. This game resembled said impurification in that it is subject to a set of extenuating circumstances, somehow keeping it in balance, which are as follows. Number 1, difference of opinion and subsequent conflict on the subject of Shibuya's destruction. The absence of the composer. The game being played by 2 proxies, and direct interference by the Executor. Neither the Executor who wishes for Shibuya to be destroyed and purified, nor the composer who has managed to prevent this up until now, can directly intervene in the goings-on of the UG. If they wish to take action, they must do so via proxy. The Executor's proxy in this game is the conductor, Shiba Miyakaze, and the composer is a human player, one Rindo Kanade. I will henceforth refer to Shiba Miyakaze as the conductor and Rindo Kanade as the proxy. Perhaps spurred by the appearance of the proxy, former Reaper Sho Minamimoto has resumed activity after an extended period of silence. Furthermore, I'm picking up vibes similar to those emitting from Shinjuku just before its purification. They are still faint, but I will keep a close eye on them. Secret Report number 2. With a proxy in place of an acting composer, the game is affected in numerous ways, the most significant being the implementation of bogus rules by the conductor. One such rule is the division of players into teams, presumably adopted from the Shinjuku rulebook. Under the team system, whichever team earns the most points over the course of the week may choose to either continue playing or not. If they choose not to continue, they may return to the RG if they so desire. However, only the composer can send players back to the RG. The conductor has no right to implement such a rule, and has no ability to carry it out. As such, it is the conductor's best interest for the winning team to choose to continue playing. To assure this will happen, he has allied himself with the team clearly intent on continuing the game indefinitely, the Ruinbringers. Each team's relative value is measured against the others using their scores, and the loss for the team is a loss for each individual within it. It is unclear when these rules were first implemented in Shinjuku, but what is clear is that they seem specifically designed to eliminate players, counter to the objective of the game. Alright, we're getting some info here. I haven't read these before, and I'm reading these live, so... Any mistakes? No, they're staying in. Secret Report number 3. A new player has joined the Proxy's team. The inability of the composer and myself, the producer, to intervene puts Shibuya at a disadvantage. But this new recruit and Minamimoto may help turn the tides. The team's new member, one Nagi Usui, is at once open-minded and closed off. Interestingly, this makes her the perfect foil to Tosai Furusawa. A healthy variety of personalities and abilities should benefit the team. The proxy has started using his powers in earnest. I can Scarcely believe someone could have such a powerful latent ability. Latent powers are unique, naturally occurring abilities awakened by tuning vibes. These vibes originate from the higher plane and resonate with the soul of an individual, turning them into their dormant powers. Tuning them into their dormant powers. Incidentally, these vibes are the same ones required for travel between planes. It is highly unusual for multiple players with latent powers to appear in succession. I suspect the pins found in the RG have been imbued with tuning vibes for the express purpose of seeking out such individuals. The more hands the pins make their way into, the greater the chance of finding promising new players. However, the proxy's ability is a significant deviation from standard latent powers. It is far too dangerous. If I could, I would have ensured it remained dormant for the sake of both the UG and the RG. It has the potential to not only warp, but demolish the lower plane's code. I wonder if the composer foresaw this and chose his proxy because of it. Secret Report 4. So what exactly is the purpose of the Reapers game? Let us review. The explicit goal of the game is to locate exceptional individuals. Players of superior imagination are elevated to the higher plane and made into Reapers or Angels to aid in the oversight of their region. The UG is located on a higher plane than the RG. It is understood that it is to be the afterlife, as the soul is modulated and relocated to the UG upon the death of the body in the RG. However, the proxy and his fellows, that's a weird way to say that, were brought into the UG unmodulated. They have already begun to suspect that something is amiss, in respect of both themselves and the Ruinbringers. The Reapers should be fighting for their lives, same as the players, but Shibuya's Eternal Reaper hierarchy is at a total standstill. 3 years ago, Shibuya's acting composer and conductor carried out a game to determine Shibuya's fate. The events that unfolded are now known as Shibuya's Impurification. The hierarchical freeze presumably stems from opposition to the impurification. I detected a new set of vibes in the UG at the end of the day. Seems those pins have awakened new powers within someone and modulated them for entry into the UG just like the proxy. This time it is someone the composer and I know quite well. The plot thickens about who our mystery writer is. Secret Report number 5. A turf war called the Scramble Slam has just taken place. The Ruinbringers declined to participate. If they had, they surely would have won, leading to a decrease in overall morale. I suspect this little diversion, which pits player against each other in a place of noise, exists purely for the entertainment of the conductor. This week's marks the 104th game under the current conductor. The Deep River Society, the Varia Beauties, and the Pure Hearts have all been subject to at least 30 loops. They are beginning to show signs of fatigue, presumably sensing the impossibility of victory against the Ruinbringers. Perceiving the game as unwinnable has a marked negative effect on players' well-being. The Proxy's team may be able to avoid coming in last place, but the odds of them toppling the Ruinbringers to claim victory are slim. Although anything can happen in this game, they may surprise me yet. Minamimoto has become aware of the Proxy's powers and seems to be plotting something. Secret Report 6. The Proxy's soul is beginning to change. Strangely, its evolution trends towards stagnation rather than development. It is almost as if the range of his vibes is shrinking. Sorry, just vibes as an actual measurement of things is a bit amusing. I believe this may be due in part to his readiness to adopt the opinions and values of others, mistakenly believing them to be his own. He seems to do this entirely unconsciously. He may never realize it's happening. Under ordinary circumstances, players in Shibuya's games pay an entry fee upon arrival, though which the composer offers them a chance to re-examine themselves. This game has no entry fee. The Shinjuku rules neither encourage nor allow for personal growth or change, making the game just that, a mere competition to collect points to prove one's worth. The Proxy's stagnant soul makes him the perfect user for his latent ability. For better or worse, he is able to maintain abnormally high levels of imagination, therefore increasing the accuracy of each replay. The pieces fit together almost too perfectly. I can only hope I'm overthinking things. Secret Report 7. That is the worst time for this update to happen. I'm not starting over. The Deep River Society has been erased in accordance with the rules of the game. The souls of all members, including the leader, are gone. Their erasure runs counter to the goal of judging each player's abilities, but it is unsurprising considering the conductor's intentions. Upon witnessing the erasure, the proxy's vibes have weakened once again. His increasingly hardened emotional state may be cause for concern. As suspected, the individual who arrived in the proxy's moment of need was the source of the vibes I detected a few days ago. It does not appear as if the composer had a hand in the sudden appearance of our old friend. In sharp contrast to the ever-active executor, the composer is seemingly biding his time. Although I am unable to make contact to confirm, I believe the reappearance of this particular individual works in Shibuya's favor. Minamimoto, on the other hand, has all but vanished from the proxy's side. His noise refinery sigil drastically heightened his imagination, which may be why he can clearly recognize the proxy's abilities. I have an idea of what he's planning. It's dangerous, but I have no way of stopping him. Incidentally, the noise refinery sigil is a reproduction, copied from its original by a certain Reaper. Its completeness or lack thereof may be a factor in the subtle change in Minamimoto's fundamental vibes. Secret Report 8. 4 teams remain. The Ruinbringers, the Pure Hearts, the Varia Beauties, and the Wicked Twisters. Only one may survive and emerge victorious. At long last, the game approaches its conclusion. According to Shinjuku's rules, incoming players' abilities must exceed the total average imagination of the current player for them to be allowed into the game. As the game continues and low-ranking teams are eliminated, the average rises, making it more and more difficult for newcomers to enter. With the Deep River Society gone and the Wicked Twister's impressive latent abilities, the average imagination has drastically increased. Only an immensely powerful player could be pulled in at this point. It can be safely assumed that the game will continue and conclude with no more than the current state of players. The game will continue into the week after next at longest, but the conductor has yet to contact the composer. It is possible he is unaware of the higher plane's purification protocol. If all goes according to the conductor's plan, he himself will be the victor of the game. Secret Report 9. A new arrival has joined the Proxy's team, almost as if filling the hole left by Minamimoto. I'm so bad at saying Beat's name. Daisuke Nojo Bito, also known as Beat, was a player in the game leading to Shibuya's impurification. His fortitude is remarkable, as is his soul and imagination. He should prove a powerful ally to the Proxy. And yet, the Proxy's soul remains stagnant. Or perhaps it would be more accurate to say it has stagnated further. I felt a similar shift 8 days ago when Minamimoto joined the team. If this is the fundamental immaturity of the Proxy's soul, it'll be difficult to bring to light, unlike Neku's leading up to the impurification. The Proxy initiated another replay today. The resulting drastic increase in planar distortions indicate that at this rate, an explosive increase is likely only after a few more uses. However, the Proxy's pin is effectively absorbing the distortions, preventing the UG and the lower planes from being affected at this time. Alright, this is where things are going to get a bit funky-wonky. As in, this is how I have the Secret Report to read at this point. I apologize, but I don't have the heart in me to grind out enough stats to finally beat Rhyme's dive. All of the Reapers stationed in Shibuya, including the conductor, would ordinarily be referred to as Shibuya Reapers, but ongoing conflict has caused those from Shinjuku to be called Shinjuku Reapers. Shinjuku's inversion 3 years ago jump-started its purification, forcing the Reapers there to flee to Shibuya. An inversion happens when the boundary between the UG and the RG is destroyed, forcing a purification. It occurs, albeit rarely, when the composer and conductor fail to agree on the purification. The composer's permission is not required for a Reaper to continue working in a new area, Such transfers are left up to the conductor. In this case, Shibuya's temporary conductor at the time authorized the transfer of all Reapers from Shinjuku to Shibuya. I detect no sign nor vibe of the Shinjuku conductor at present. I assume he was destroyed along with Shinjuku. Once the purification has begun, it is standard for the conductor to be invited up to the higher plane. There is almost no evidence of a mass personnel transfer after the erasure of the conductor in the past. Almost. Upon reviewing the records, I managed to find 4 cases where the affected area had fallen into imbalance before its purification was decided. One of those cases is Shibuya's impurification. The composer should file a report on the circumstances leading up to Shinjuku's purification at some point, although I doubt he'll do a thorough job of it, considering his disinterest in the lower planes. With the Shibuya composer giving his tacite approval to the Shinjuku Reapers, Shibuya's Reapers have no choice but to follow the rules given to them. Regardless of the true circumstances, Shiba has effectively become the conductor through legal means, as well as he was judged to be fit for the role. Okay. Alright, that is number 10 done. Thankfully, we only have to do this again for number 24. Because you obtain that one by getting all the other secret reports in the game. Legal means? Yes, legal means. Secret Report 11. Restlessness builds among the team leaders, and the proxy's psychological state is far from optimal. I can only hope he will last the week. The team's base groove is abnormally low. In a system built around teamwork, such irregularities are certain to have a major effect on the outcome of the game. A network called the RNS was created specifically for this game. The ease with which it measures each individual's vibes and imagination makes it a useful tool for the management of both players and Reapers. However, making this information viewable also makes it accessible from the RG. It can only be found by those who know of the RG's or the UG's existence and are sufficiently proficient with networks. No modulation is required to communicate between planes this way, though it is yet unclear if other issues arise as a result. It's possible that communicating through the network could inhibit imagination, just as the full meaning and imagination of a work of art cannot be captured on a screen. I am no longer active as Cat, but if and when I resume, I must keep in mind how my works will be perceived when shared digitally, and alter my methods of expression accordingly. Perhaps the developer of the RNS could provide me with some insight in that regard. But that was the end of that one, right? Yes, it was. Alright, nice little hint of who is writing these reports, if people have played the first game, which I hope you have. Secret Report number 12. There has been a change in the proxy's psychological state, as well as an improvement to relations between the members of his team. This is good news. However, the proxy's soul remains stagnant as ever. I have yet to fully analyze the stagnation, as I am currently unable to take any action beyond observing and hoping for the best. My sticks. By Shinjuku rules, Reapers are limited in the actions they may take. Of course, obstructing players is not allowed on a basic level. The primary enemies that players face are other players, namely those on opposing teams. Thus, any team aiming for the top must go through the Ruinbringers. The Proxy and his team are taking a different approach against the seemingly unbeatable Ruinbringers. To what extent it goes against the rules of the game remain to be seen. I doubt the conductor will sit idly by and let them do as they please. If he is forced to make a move, things will either end very well or very poorly. As previously stated, Reapers are not allowed to interfere in the game, and yet one of them is currently doing just that. It's possible that her Reaper status will be stripped from her, but where will that leave her once this game is over? Secret Report 13. The leader of the Pure Hearts, one Motoi Anazawa, has gotten himself into a dire predicament. While alive and online, he found himself a loyal follower in the Proxy. If Motoi Anazawa is to face erasure, it would likely have a significant effect on the Proxy, though to what extent remains to be seen. Online communication can result in negative or positive outcomes, just the same as face-to-face communication. However, the opacity and anonymity accompanying digital communication leaves its participants more susceptible to misunderstanding. It must have been quite a shock for the proxy to see Motoi Anazawa's true nature, which was invisible to him online. As predicted, Shoka Sakurane, I might have gotten that wrong, I apologize, has been demoted from Reaper to Player, as punishment for meddling in the game and directly assisting players. Reapers face very few restrictions on the RNS. They may interact with the RG freely so long as they do not reveal their identities, but should they be demoted, their account is deleted and a separate player account takes its place. With her old account deactivated, Shoka is no longer able to interact with the proxy as his online friend, unless she chooses to reveal herself as such. She has aided the proxy via messaging up till now, but with that option no longer available to her, her next course of action is unclear. Secret Report 14. The conductor has made his intentions known to the players. Although it would be impossible for him to carry out his goal of destroying Shibuya merely as the conductor, he believes himself to be the executor as well, sent from the higher plane to purify the city. The Pure Hearts have been erased, as expected. Only 2 teams remain, discounting the Ruinbringers. With the Ruinbringers' true nature revealed, it is likely that the rules will change next game to reflect that the players stand to oppose the Reapers rather than each other. I have detected unique vibes emanating from a certain inanimate object. I found it odd that the old stuffed animal should show up, but as it turns out is temporarily housing a disordered soul. Shinjuku's conductor saved the soul it contains, paying the price with his own erasure. An angel's power is needed to free the captive soul, but there is no sign of the composer, and I am forbidden from meddling in the game. I doubt the executor would be willing to help, considering he is most likely trapped it there to begin with. Our only available options are to leave the soul imprisoned or locate someone else with the means to release it. I suspect the original creator of the stuffed animal, a player who managed to return to the RG 3 years ago, would be able to assist. Unfortunately, she is currently absent from Shibuya. Secret Report 15. The game's rules have changed significantly. Players as well as Reapers, or even the conductor, may erase their opponent after defeating them. At the same time the rules change, Shiba made an unforeseen move against Shibuya. An inversion is underway. The noise released by the conductor have destabilized the code of the entire Shibuya region. The lower planes, including the UG and RG, are particularly unsteady. The code is a set of laws that binds together the souls that make up all of existence. Think of it as the screws which hold everything together. Some of Shibuya's screws are loose, and others have been removed altogether, leaving nothing to support the city but its own weight. In other words, Shibuya is on the brink of collapse. The deterioration of the boundary between the RG and the UG is being hastened by rapidly multiplying noise. If the boundary is lost, the city will be torn apart and purified. There are many in the higher plane who believe normal purification has no meaning, as it maintains the existing planar framework. However, it is generally agreed that inversions should not be utilized due to the complete loss of character the affected area undergoes, as its framework is destroyed and rebuilt. And yet the composer maintains his silence as Shibuya faces the same fate as Shinjuku before it. While Shibuya has undergone dramatic changes, the proxy's psychological state is surprisingly stable. This could be interpreted as positive personal growth, as he has come to understand the situation he has been placed in, as well as what actions to take place in response. Shoka has joined the proxy's team. Her extraordinary powers should make her a fine addition. Secret Report 16. One of the Shinjuku Reapers has been eliminated. I suspect the conductor saw this coming. Angels emit vibes strong enough to alter the minds of those in the lower planes. Reportedly, many Shinjuku Reapers have sensed a change in Shiba's personality over time. I wonder how he will feel about all this after the executor leaves and allows him to return to his former self. The proxy has now used the replay ability 8 times, his pin absorbing the resulting planar distortions and changing appearance with each use. At present, there are no apparent adverse effects. I am concerned about the physical changes to the proxy's pin. It may indicate some kind of fundamental difference from the other pins. Perhaps replay isn't a latent ability at all. It is far too powerful, and would make more sense as a gift bestowed upon the proxy via the pin. The player pins were almost certainly made by the Executor. As an angel, he would be able to prepare special pins at will. It is unclear when and how the proxy acquired his pin. Logically, it must have been on the day he arrived in the UG. All I know for certain is that several factors influencing the proxy's fate were in play that day. In any case, to give him such a pin knowing he is the composer's proxy would either be incredibly brave or incredibly insolent. Secret Report 17. The Varia beauties have been erased. This is a major blow to the proxy's team, as Kanon Tachibana provided them with vital emotional support. Tosei Furusawa's soul is clearly the most heavily affected, despite his fundamental evasiveness and unwillingness to show his true feelings. Once experience leads one to hold a certain belief, it is difficult to alter that mindset. This often leads to bitterness and anguish. I wonder just how much of his bitterness Tosei Furusawa will be able to bear facing. The answer may very well depend on the proxy and his teammates. Still, this is no time for idle talk. The proxy's team is the only one left. The conductor is oddly fixated on the team's unstable state. I would go so far as to say he seems more concerned with his enemies than the battle itself. As events unfold, it is not unthinkable that he might join forces with the proxy. With the conductor's plans laid bare, every Reaper, particularly the Shibuya Reapers, will be forced to choose a side. Some of them who know what I am occasionally try to contact me, but I cannot respond. The Shibuya Reapers will need to grow and adapt if they are to overcome this. My old cafe on Cat Street, the one that served as my base 3 years ago, was always open to them. I hear that they drop by on occasion. Notably, the faint vibes I felt from Shinjuku have returned to their full former strength. Someone is coming. Someone who can help decide Shibuya's fate. Secret Report 18. Neku Sakuraba has returned to Shibuya. As I suspected, the vibes I picked up 17 days ago were his. Being the last team standing has provided the Wicked Twisters with a sense of unity, but Beat appears to believe it is his sole responsibility to carry the team. I can't say he was wrong in his actions towards Minamimoto, but the fact remains that he most likely would have been erased by the ex-Reaper had Neku not arrived. I said that kind of poorly. The team has narrowly avoided disaster. Let's hope they can carry on that momentum. Minamimoto's focus was purely on the planar distortions when he turned half noise and went berserk. He may not be able to clearly measure the distortions from the UG, but that he can sense them at all is an impressive feat. I suspect he is also becoming aware of the distortions within himself, along with the fact that these distortions should be undetectable from the UG. Minamimoto seems to have come to the same conclusion I have. Replay is too powerful an ability to be wielded by one from the lower planes. I am beginning to piece together the Executor's plan. One more thing that concerns me is the proxy's soul. Its stagnation has returned in full force, just when it seemed it might finally fade away. There must be some cause for this. Be it the proxy's fear of Minamimoto, or uncertainty surrounding his own interactions with Neku. Getting a little stumbly on my words there, but we're okay. Secret Report 19. Neku Sakuraba has joined forces with the proxy. The composer had sent him from Shibuya into Shinjuku during its purification, presumably to have him handle the situation there and keep him isolated and safe from those who would target him for his abilities. As for the proxy, his soul remains stagnant. I have yet to identify what exactly is preventing its growth. This would be much simpler if I could sit down and talk with him. After repeated demands, I have finally obtained the report on Shinjuku's purification. On the surface, the game involved a conflict between the conductor and the Reapers. In actuality, the composer, eager to purify Shinjuku, planted the Executor amongst the Reapers to oppose and take down the conductor. This explains why the conductor was erased and the Reapers transferred to a new area. Sugumi Matsune had her suspicions about the Executor, so he sealed her soul away to be safe. She was once a Reaper, though the Executor removed her status after she allied herself with her older brother Shinjuku's conductor. In Shinjuku, to lose your Reaper status is to be erased. Knowing he was defeated, Shinjuku's conductor used the last of his strength to save his sister's Let me try that again. Shinjuku's conductor used the last of his strength to save his sister's soul in a stuffed animal. That stuffed animal belonged to one Shiki Misaki. A Shibuya Reaper must have taken it to Shinjuku. As a result, Tsugumi Matsune became the lone survivor of the Shinjuku purification, once more a Reaper, but sealed away and closely monitored by the Executor. She acted through no will of her own, as her soul was trapped by noise. However, she was still able to send messages to the proxy using her latent trailer ability. The noise binding her is now gone. If the damage to her plush vessel can be fixed, her soul will be free. My awful pronunciations are starting to slip through a little bit. Makes me regret doing this live and not actually recording this, but... The Shibuya River is known to be a unique place. Even amongst the entities of the higher plane, its source is in Shinjuku, meaning it should have disappeared in the purification, yet it continues to flow unseen in its own plane. What an excellent idea to hide souls there to spare them from purification. Keiichi Sasuke. I'm just going to call him Sussy K because I am awful at his name for some reason. Loved the game and cared for his compatriots more than any of the other Shinjuku Reapers. His actions leave no room for doubt. Most of the Shinjuku Reapers maintain the close bonds they shared back in Shinjuku. I know not what kind of Reaper Shiba was before being warped by the Executor, but judging by the Shinjuku Reaper's unflinching devotion to him, he must have been exceptionally charismatic. It is yet unknown if Shiba will be released from the Executor's influence at the end of the game. Even if he does manage to return to his former self, he'll be forced to face the tragic reality that the loss of his friends was brought about by his own actions. Neku Sakuraba is wary of the proxy's powers. The pin continues to endlessly absorb the generated distortions. Absorb but not destroy. They are likely being stored for some purpose. I wonder what the composer thinks of all this. There is still no sign of movement from him. Does he have a plan at all? Tomorrow will tell. Secret Report 21. I think I missed calling out number 20. Oh, my bad. The planar distortions caused by replay were all part of the Executor's plan to purify Shibuya. The condition of the proxy and his comrades has taken a sudden turn for the worst. The ability to turn distorted energy into noise is entirely unique. It is likely latent to the Executor, either allowing him to create noise or granting him some comparable power. In essence, the distortions were once souls. They manifest from the thoughts and lost time of those whose timelines were cut off from canonical history. The proxy's pin stores the distortions born from each abandoned timeline, causing them to behave similarly to their source, thoughts, and birth new distortions. In other words, the pin allows the distortions to grow and multiply with each journey back in time. The birds the proxy saw are new distortions spawned from those stored in the pin, given an order, complaint, and readily storable form. Generally, souls need a catalyst in order to take form. The Executor's pin must be the catalyst in this case, generating noise in advance and transplanting the distortion's imaginations into them. The Executor is exceptionally adept at handling noise. There is a strong possibility that the noise's present bird form is temporary. There is a strong possibility that the noise's present bird form is a temporary and will change at some point. If its shape is undefined and constantly changing, the proxy and his team have a tough battle ahead of them. Shibuya is in grave danger. Secret Report 22. Shibuya has received a new visitor, one that even the composer must not have expected. It is the very same individual who drew up the report on Shinjuku's inversion. But why would he come to Shibuya? Probably not to take care of the Executor. Whatever business he may have, Tanzo Kubo can wait until after the purification. It seems that Shinjuku's composer, once Hazuki Mikagi, has eliminated the executor's noise and given the proxy another chance. I have an idea as to why Shibuya's composer must be shaking his head right now. I have finally determined what was causing the proxy's soul to stagnate, his fear of taking responsibility. When reliable allies such as Minamimoto, Beat, and Neku Sakuraba appeared and took the reins, the relief of being freed from responsibility stilled the proxy's mind. Ironic that it was the famously unsympathetical composer of Shinjuku that led me to this conclusion. Shibuya now owes its continued existence to the proxy's use of replay to undo its destruction. It is up to the proxy to decide whether or not to turn back time. He undeniably has that right. Shibuya has withstood destruction, but now stands to face an even greater danger. The challenge before us is one we cannot refuse. Secret Report 23. The proxy's team faced a giant bird-shaped noise. It was reborn from the unstable black bird noise, which were destroyed at the order level and reassembled. This is the clear act of interference by Shinjuku's composer. It allowed the proxy and his team to focus all of their efforts on one target. Each feather on the phoenix's tail is the karmic representation of a single temporal reversal, perhaps as the manifestation of the Shinjuku composer's internal conflict. He has clearly taken an interest in the proxy and his teammates, yet his desire to see Shibuya purified is unchanged. I believe that his interference dealing with the executor contacting the proxy and meddling with the distortions was more than a simple apology to Shibuya. It provided the perfect excuse for Shibuya's composer to make a direct move on his own. However, Shibuya's composer failed to take the bait, remaining inactive to the very end. His reason for appearing to Neku Sakuraba and the others as they connected to Shibuya's imagination was not to help them, but merely to stabilize Neku Sakuraba's mind by reminding him he was there. A look over the vibes recorded by the RNS reveals no evidence of any outside interference. The Proxy's team defeated the Phoenix Countess through their own and Shibuya's strength. And now for Secret Report 24, which sadly has to be done the way 10 was, as this bright wall of text. I apologize to anyone watching at the moment. Now that the game is over, I finally have permission to contact the composer. Several days have passed since then, and the composer has already completed 2 orders of business. One of them concerns Neku Sakuraba. Using a sample from a parallel world, one where Neku never went to Shinjuku, and instead lived peacefully in the RG for 3 years, the composer modified the space and memories around Neku so that he may once again reside in the RG without issue. This is not particularly unusual, as the same steps may be taken when returning a Reaper to the RG. The other order of business concerns Shoka. Her Reaper status is lost. Her destruction at the end of the game was all but assured. However, the composer saved her soul at the precise moment it diffused for deletion. She has been reborn in the RG in Shibuya. I believe this is a rare expression of gratitude on the composer's part. Gratitude towards the Proxy, that is. The Proxy has also returned safely to his life in the RG. Through him I have learned much about the network as a simulated plane of existence, as well as its effects on human emotion. There is no denying its use as a tool to expand one's world. However, it is up to the user to explore and experience that expanded world themselves, lest it remain a mere simulation. Enjoy the present and keep moving forward. Perhaps by refusing to interfere, the composer meant to convey to Shibuya the importance of accepting our circumstance and taking action yourself. I have one final note directed at the Proxy, Rindo Kanade. The decision you made took courage, and I thank you for it. I sincerely hope we can meet in person someday. I thank you for sitting with me as I read this, faults and all, and leave a bit of feedback if you did watch to the end. I would like to hear it. Anyway, I hope you enjoy yourselves and have a wonderful day.